What's going on, guys? Play by Play Game here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we're taking a look at the balance adjustment preview coming at us on September 2nd. I'm expecting some really nice buffs, maybe someone crazy. Let's take a look. We got a couple of heroes right out the gate, I think, finally are getting some buffs, some very much needed buffs. First up here, we have the 5-star Moonlight hero, Ravi. So Apocalypse Ravi is getting some buffs, as well as Luna. Yes, everybody's been calling for Luna buffs, especially that one guy, right? That one, there's always one person calling for Luna buffs. There you go. We're gonna get some Luna buffs. Kawerik, 5-star regular fire Kawerik is getting some buffs. I think is that the wrong Kawerik? Should this be the Moonlight Kawerik? I don't know. Kawerik's already been buffed like 5 times. A 5-star hero, Mort, is getting buffs. Maybe he'll be usable. 4-star Roaming Warrior Leo. So he is a Moonlight unit and he is up for recall right now. Actually getting some buffs. We'll see how that makes him. We're getting Dominiel and Merciless, both 4-star units, getting some buffs. Merciless, Glutton, and Secret Art Storm Sword are getting buffs. And the exclusive equipment for Kawerik is getting some buffs. So let's take a look at Ravi. So before attacks the enemy with an axe, dealing some damage dealt based on health, right? Okay, so now attacks the enemy with an axe, inflicting injuries before absorbing some of the health as damage. The severity of injuries increases proportional to damage dealt. Injuries decrease max health of the target by up to 10%. Okay, so now if you have her on counter, every time that she hits with her spectral axe, she inflicts injuries. Okay, so that could be kind of good because usually she's built super like Omega tanky and can still dish out damage. Now with this soul burn, the damage will be increased. So I believe it's 20 souls for the S1 that can pretty much one-shot anything. Well, not one-shot anything, but do insane amounts of damage. Now it's going to get a damage buff increase. Her War God's Might, before, we know how this kind of works, right? But she gets Fighting Spirit, she gets Recovered Health, increases proportional to the caster's max health, increases crit chance by 30%. Now, at the moment the caster is attacked, consumes 10 Fighting Spirit to increase combat readiness by 15%. And so now she gets a 15% CR push every time that you hit her. That sounds like not fun. That doesn't sound like fun at all. Deliverance, so her S3, this one, she has pretty much a revive buff on the S3, right? She can bring back anybody if she gets a kill. But now with the buff, she's bringing them back with 15% health as opposed to the 5%. And the damage dealt by this skill increases every time somebody dies. Effect can only stack up to 3 times. So it's getting a 3 times attack buff or stack, depending on what the multipliers are on that one. That can make her really, really deadly. But let's take a look at the Awakening. So the Awakening here actually pushes the revive, the HP on the revive unit to 30%. So that's kind of insane, right? 30% health. I think that's more than Maid Chloe. I think it's, I don't have Maid Chloe, so I'm not sure. But Maid Chloe also brings back everyone with some health, right? So with the S3 now, she's going to get deadlier as the game goes on. So the longer it takes you to take her out, which like I mentioned is usually really, really difficult because she's built super tanky and she can recover her own health. Now she's going to be stacking injuries, and then now you're going to be able to still one-shot with the S3, but you're going to be increasing your damage every time somebody dies. So the more people die, the stronger that she gets, which is really, really nice. And I think that's going to really push her into not necessarily the meta, but I think that she's now going to have a little bit more play in RTA just to test out some of these mechanics. But I think in Guild War, it's really going to make her super strong. Luna here, 5-star unit. So I don't know what else they're gonna give to Luna, but let's take a look. A soul burn increases number of attacks to max. Wait, what? Okay, so she has a random attack, right? She can attack anywhere from a certain amount. I think it's like 3 to 7 or 3 to 8 times, something like that. Now, if you soul burn, it increases whatever the number of attacks is to max. So that's pretty nice, I guess. So instant max hits, which deals the most amount of damage. So you can potentially nuke out one unit with an S1. Dragon's Knight's Will, so that's her passive. The main thing about that was that it increased crit chance, and it gave her an attack buff. And then if her health is 50% or less, it decreases crits by 30%. So, okay, let's take a look at what the Dragon's Knight's Will is after. So now it increases critical hit chance and crit resistance by 30%. So that's what she gets. So she doesn't get the increased attack yet, but let's see what else is in this passive. So she gets the crit chance and crit resistance by 30%. So giving her damage mitigation, right? Increases attack by 30% when the caster's health is 50% or more. So she still has that condition of 50% or more, but she's still getting the 30% attack increase. She's getting the crit resistance by 30% and crit chance. And it increases defense by 30% when the caster's health is less than 50%. So giving her more survivability, which is really nice. Rengar's Spear, so her S3, it has a 100% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns, but now it penetrates the target defense by 50% and it acquires 5 additional souls when the enemy is defeated. So that's pretty insane, right? You pretty much S3. If you take out an enemy with the S3, on the next attack, you can soul burn, right? And then doesn't she get like her EE, doesn't she get like an extra turn on the S3, or if she kills with the S3, something like that? As you can see, I have Luna, but I just never really used her outside of like Wyvern 11. But hey, this, I think, I keep mentioning Guild War, but I think this can make her insane in Guild War just because you can pretty much nuke out 2 targets right away. Right out the gate, you can nuke out 2 targets. And she has survivability now, which is pretty insane. And then that 50% def pen, defense penetration on the S3 can almost guarantee the kill, right? Because she attacks with an advantageous element, so it doesn't matter what element you're attacking with her S3. Now it's going to penetrate defense as well. So not only do you have that chance to still crit, or that chance to miss the crit, but you get def pen, and then you get additional souls, and then you even have a chance to go again, right, with the EE. But Kawerik here, he's getting stealth for 2 turns on his dimensional corridor, which is I think his S2, right? So attacks the enemy in a dimensional corridor with 100% chance each to dispel 2 buffs before increasing skill cooldown by 1 turn twice. Grants stealth and increased speed to the caster for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to target speed. So he's getting stealth on the S2. Dimensional explosion before, which I believe is his S3. I don't have Kawerik. Attacks all enemies with an explosion, silencing for 1 turn before granting stealth to the caster for 2 turns. So they remove the stealth from the S3 and put it on the S2, I'm assuming, or vice versa. So I think that can make him a bit more viable, because usually you want to go with the S2, right? Because you want to strip first, reduce their cooldown, and then hit them hard with the S3. So you do that AoE silencing for 1 turn and then def pen for 30%. And I mean, that makes sense because, of course, if he's stealthed, he has that damage mitigation, so it helps him survive till he can get his S3 off, which, yeah, he has a lack of defensive ability, so that stealth is really gonna help him out for sure. The increased attack of the caster for 2 turns before attacking when using, so his exclusive equipment option 1 before, it increases attack of the caster for 2 turns when using Dimensional Corridor, and then now it's increased attack for 2 turns when using Dimensional Explosion. So, I mean, overall not bad. I don't necessarily think that he needed buffs. I think they buffed the wrong Kawerik, but hey, maybe in another 3 months we'll get ML Kawerik buffed. Mort is getting buffed. Okay, let's see. So Extermination pierces the enemy with a 50% chance to decrease defense. So this is his S1, right? Soul Burn increases effect chance to 100%. So he has a 50% chance without the Soul Burn. Now it's a 10 Soul Burn guaranteed 100% death break, which is really nice. However, you can still get 15%ed, and you're gonna have to build effectiveness, right? If you want the decreased defense to land. So something to keep in mind. Let's see what else. Extermination. Let's see. It's the same thing, right? It's just still 2 turns because this is the awakened one. Absolute Dignity. Okay, so this is his passive, right? Immune to stun and sleep. If the caster inflicts a critical hit when using a basic skill, has a 40% chance to activate Sacred Blessing. The Sacred Blessing gave him crit resistance to everyone, so all your allies, and gives him increased speed. Now it's still immune to stun and sleep, but has a 30% chance to counterattack when attacked. So he has a built-in counter mechanic. You know what I say about counter mechanics? Anytime a unit has counter mechanics, usually they're pretty good, because you can sacrifice the counter set for something else, like a speed set, right? Speed immunity set. But if you put him on counter set, he can still counter. So not only will he have that 30%, but he'll have the additional 20% from the counter set, which I think can make him kind of insane, right? If he's countering all the time. If the caster inflicts a critical hit when using a basic skill, has a 50% chance to activate Sacred Blessing. So now instead of the 40% chance to activate, it's a 50%, and you're gonna want to build him, right? Still 100% crit. If he's on counter, you're still going to want him on 100% crit because you want to take advantage of the passive. And he has that 30% chance to counter and the 20% chance to counter if you build him on a counter set, which based off of this, I can see being one of his best sets, unless you decide to go for a speed set when you're maybe trying to cycle the S3. The S3, this one inflicts injury, right? Damage proportional to his max health. But injuries decrease max health of the target by up to 20% every time the skill is used. And if you soul burn, it increases damage dealt. So he's getting a injury buff on his S3. And then if you soul burn, wait, they're removing the soul burn because they put it on the S1. So now it's just increased damage, which is nice. They pretty much switched the soul burn to the S1. And I think this will make him viable. I think this will make him at least somewhat fun to use now because he does have a built-in counter. And I'm excited to see some play. I'm excited to see some play with him. I think that the counterattacks are going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we recently got Rem that has the built-in counters, and then people still build her on counter. And when she counters, her counters are pretty insane. Almost any other unit, I've been having a lot of fun with Shu. Build her on counter. She's going with that extra attack. So every time that you're able to get him to attack Mort, he's able to land that decrease, get a crit, activate Sacred Blessing, right? And then potentially decrease defense. So it could be pretty huge for your team, especially since he's built as a bruiser, right? Moonlight 4-star Roaming Warrior Leo. Okay, so I've never used him in the past. I was gonna instant recall him, but I decided, hey, you know what? Let's wait for the patch. Let's see how he does. Maybe test him out, and then if we don't like him after that, we can just send him on his way. Get ourselves our Carmen. Roaming Warrior Leo fires a shock bomb at the enemy with a 100% chance to increase skill cooldown by 1 turn. That was his fire shock bomb before. That's, I'm assuming, the S2. Fires a shock bomb now at the enemy with a 100% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. So he decreases defense, so death break, decreases skill cooldown of Go Raku by 1 turn. Detonation damage dealt increase. So he defense breaks and then he detonates the bombs after he's done. Go Raku, this is his S3. Before, there's a 90% chance to decrease speed and plant a bomb, which is kind of meh. Now it attacks all enemies with Raku, decreasing buff durations by 1 turn. So he has a strip before a 100% chance to decrease speed and plant a bomb for 2 turns. Grants the caster skill nullifier once. Okay, so there is a lot in his S3. He strips, He decreases speed by 100. He has a 100% chance to decrease speed, plants bombs, and he gets skill nullifier. So it gives him some type of survivability. And that's always what I try to look for in units. How can they survive? Because I'm not the fastest player. Maybe I'm not the tankiest player, but is there anything built into this unit that's going to help them survive? Get me to maybe his S2, right? Because we want plant bombs with his S3 and then detonate them with the S2 and then decrease defense as well. So I don't know. I think his kit sounds kind of good. It sounds okay. I don't know really if I want to recall him now. Again, I think I got to see how he does, especially now with the new Summerside Iceria, right? Summertime Iceria with her bomb mechanics, able to detonate bombs. I don't know. Maybe the two of them could be kind of like a meme team, maybe, because again, if like the thing is, I don't want to have to bring two units together. For example, Summertime Iceria, like I don't want to have to bring Roaming Warrior Leo, because then that combo doesn't always work, right? If you bring that into RTA, they're going to ban out that combo, at least one of those units, and then you're only going to have one. So I don't know if on his own he's going to be good, but now he decreases defense for 2 turns. I think that's pretty big. And then has skill nullifier on the S3. So we'll see. Dominiel. Okay, so Dominiel, I've never seen any play with her. However, she is the Ice Dominiel, which does the reflect. So let's take a look to see what she does. So she has a 50% chance to decrease speed for 2 turns. With the buff, she's getting a 40% chance to stun. So stuns on the S1 increases effect chance by 60% if you soul burn. Before, her Blizzard Cape was an actual skill that you selected, and she gave a barrier proportional to the caster's attack. And now when an ally suffers a critical hit, has a 35% chance to activate Blizzard Cape. It can only be activated once every 3 turns. Blizzard Cape casts a barrier over all allies for 2 turns with frost magic. Barrier strength increases proportional to allies' max health. I don't know. Does that mean that this is a passive now? It's a passive, right? Cast a barrier, activated everything. Yeah. So it's a passive now. Isn't that a nerf? Well, no. Okay. So now it's based on her max health, right? Instead of her attack. So you can build her Omega Tanky, right? Omega Tanky. They remove a bunch of stuff here for the skill enhance. 1 turn cooldown, 1 turn cooldown. Yeah, because it's yeah. So they got rid of the skill enhancement, right? For 1 turn cooldowns. No. Okay, so they removed the soul acquired. They removed the 1 turn cooldown, and so now when you skill enhance the S2, it's just a -1 turn cooldown. So that's not too bad. Attacks all enemies with a large block of ice, so her S3, with a 90% chance to stun for 1 turn and a 100% chance to decrease combat readiness by 15%, increases speed of the caster for 2 turns. Before, it was only a 50% chance to decrease combat readiness by 30%. So now it's 90% chance to stun, 100% chance to decrease combat readiness by 15%. So instead of the 30, it's 15% now, but it's guaranteed almost, which is, I don't know. Her kit has always been kind of weird. So I don't know. If you have any ideas of how you might be able to use her, let me know in the comment section below. But I don't think I'll ever use her unless she becomes like this Omega crazy unit, right? Because she is a 4-star, and then you have to invest molas into her. Mercedes is getting some buffs, increasing combat readiness of the caster by 15% after she attacks with her Divine Bolt. And then her Dimensional Rapture attacks all enemies with a light sphere with a 70% chance to dispel 1 buff. She has a strip. When the caster is granted increased attack, activates Dimensional Rapture as an extra attack. So, I mean, that isn't insane, because if it's not 100%, it might as well be 0%, right? I don't think that she's still any more viable in RTA or maybe in GVG or like PvP, I guess. But now she's getting a effect chance to that 70%, right? Which is, I mean, I guess. Release the power of Ancient Book to attack all enemies before increasing attack of the caster for 2 turns. a critical hit will increase damage dealt. And so before, she did more damage based on the amount of health that they had lost. Now, as long as you make a crit, she increases damage, which is not bad. And she gets some damage dealt enhancements if you have that up. Oh, on the awakening. Okay, see, this always throws me off when they show the just the regular one and then they show the awakened one. Okay, so on her S3, Blazing Eye of Cal, she increases attack of all allies for 2 turns and a crit increases damage. So that's kind of nice. She hits you with the S3, gives everybody attack buff. So there it is, another unit with attack buff. I don't know her base speed, but hey, don't be surprised if you see opener Mercedes out there, okay, as those memes. So just keep that in mind. Moving on, artifact balance adjustments. 5-star artifact Merciless Glutton. When using a single attack, increases damage dealt by 16%. When defeating an enemy with a single attack, increases combat readiness of all allies except for the caster by 12%. So she has a CR. She doesn't, but Merciless Glutton, the artifact, does. I guess I'm thinking of Euphine because she's on the artifact, right? When using a single attack, increases damage dealt by 16%. So you're going to want this on like single attack units, LQC, right? That's one that I can think. You could probably still even put it on Luna, right? Making her S1 insane if you soul burn it. And then if she gets a kill, she's pushing everybody up by 12%. Sounds kind of crazy, right? Sounds kind of crazy. Secret Art Storm Sword. When an enemy uses a non-attack skill, increases combat readiness of the caster by 24%. And has a 100% chance to increase attack. So before, it didn't have that CR push. The CR push is kind of nice because it can allow, for example, Celine to cut and then go with the S3, right? So that's kind of the thing. You can still build her super slow or on the slower end, or those thieves that you build on the slower end. But now they got a CR push. It's a guaranteed CR push, which is pretty nice. I think that's gonna really allow you to build those slower units. But hey, I think some solid buffs out of all of them. I think my favorite, or I think the most impactful, is the Luna and Apocalypse Ravi buffs. I think those two are the highlights. And the Mort. Okay, Mort. So I love built-in counters. Any unit that has a built-in counter, I like to invest just because it's the most bang for your buck, right? Because they have a built-in counter. So that means that if you can't farm counter set, you still have a counter in there, which can make things really, really interesting. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who is your favorite incoming buff? What do you think of Romy Warrior Leo? Did you trade him out already? I don't know. I got to see how he plays. I'm still thinking I'm going to get rid of him because I really want Crimson Armin. I don't have her. But I checked, I only have 1 copy of Romy Warrior Leo, so it's going to be a hard decision. Let me know what you're thinking in the comment section below. Are you excited for Apoc Ravi, Luna, Kawerik, Mort? Like always, if you happen to enjoy the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.